Are you trying to get your shift together?
Welcome to the Shift Sisters podcast, where real conversations inspire real transformations. We're not experts, but we're experiencers. I'm Sandra Sa.
And I'm Jennifer Richter.
We're your Shift Sisters.
Whether you're shifting like a sloth or it looks like you're having an exorcism, this is your space to breathe, reflect, and remember. We're here to talk shift with you.
Welcome to the Shift Sisters podcast. I am Sandra Sa, and I am here with my spicy meatball. Can I call you that, my spicy meatball?
Yes, you can.
Jennifer Richter. How's it going today, Jennifer?
It's going. It's a lot of fun energy.
Yes.
How about you?
Girl, my energy, I need that spicy meatball t-shirt today because I am saucy, I'm sassy, and I'm spicy today. I'm having a day, and listen, I'm a person, I'm not an expert or of anything, so I'm bringing that energy today. Good, bad, and different. You're going to get on the Sandra train today. So buckle up, buttercup. we're on for a fun ride today.
I'm like, if you want to see the spicy side of conversations, that's what's going to happen today.
Not that kind of spicy.
We're talking about when relationships shift, and maybe we're going to talk about how we're tearing that shit up.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
listen. This can go in any direction, so just make sure you're ready for it all. That's it.
Oh my God, I love it.
So as Jennifer alluded, we are going to talk about when relationships shift, and what that looks like, what that means. Sometimes we get into this like script of what a relationship should look like, and we just have to challenge that because there's so much depth and learning when you allow yourself to be in relation with someone in a very different way. And we're going to talk about that today. So ask yourself at the end of this conversation, how can I get creative with some of the relationships in my life? So, and we'll see kind of what that looks like. But as we like to do in every episode is to have our check-ins. And girl, I need a check-in. I need like a major check-in. I need such a check-in that I need you to tell me what I am today.
I was going to say, can I be your emotional weather girl today?
Yes.
Sandra's emotional forecast is a little emotionally stormy, but let's take the word little out because boy, she's like a tornado thinking about forming.
Yes.
It is triggered, reactive, and overwhelmed by the swirl. And God forbid anybody get in that path because
girl, I don't have a swirl today. I got like a Tasmanian devil, like, inner cone, like craziness today. And I'm just been triggered left and right. I have been snappy. I'm about to pounce and just grrr on anyone that comes in my path. And I love that you are riding the storm with me because, girl, I am just don't look at me sideways today.
You know what? I'll just wear my iFly outfit. So, like, if that shit starts swirling up, I'm going to be floating in the air. I'll be fine.
Make sure you have Velcro so you can stick yourself out on the wall or something.
I don't hit my head on anything. I'll be all right.
So, yes. And I need you to tell me, too, with all of that, what I can do with the sense that shift, because I am open to all and any supports. But, girl, yeah. So when you're ready to share that.
Well, if you have, I'm going to talk about an oil today for this topic, but if you want something right now, I used to call it my liquid Xanax, which is probably not compliant in any way, shape, or form, but it smells like perfume too. It's so pretty. It's Serenity and Balance. So look in your kit and see if you have those two. Put them on your wrist and it'll help you calm the F down real quick.
Did I bring I don't have it. I don't have my my kit with me, but I immediately.
All right. Well, you know what to get when you're done. But for today, for talking about when relationships shift, which is like a tongue twister, like Sally selling seashells by the seashore. So this is going to be awesome. We're going to be like the shit of relationships.
Yes, I know, it's so hard.
So we're talking about Northern Escape, which is not an oil that maybe most people would have even heard of, but I think you might like it, Sandra, because you've been trying to do more outdoor nature activities. And this is a woodland
Mm.
blend. So it's got 7 different tree oils in it. So this may really speak to you. It's the oil of stable transitions. And I paired this because you think about when relationships are shifting, it is a transition period. And like you said, how can we get
Yeah,
creative and repurpose a relationship that's really good but shouldn't be wasted? How can we use it in a
yes,
different way? So let's talk about Northern Escape. Stable transitions. The 7 tree oils found in Northern Escape blend work harmoniously together to support people through difficult transitions in life. Each of the trees offer its strength and wisdom for complex transitions which can cause significant emotional upheaval. This blend provides emotional balance and shelter during tumultuous times. It anchors individuals so they don't prematurely escape the growing opportunities they have been called to travel through. It assists them with grounding and accepting the discomfort of the experience. Instead of running away through the various forms of distraction or denial, it also teaches them to slow the pace and conserve their energy in order to endure the full duration of their trans or reformation. So, yeah, I mean, think about it. A tree can't just run away, right? It can like lose a few
yeah,
leaves in the wind or branches in a storm, but it has to stay really
for
rooted.
sure. And
Yeah.
tell me again the name? North.
Northern Escape.
So I have this oil, it's like Northern, and I can't remember if it's Escape or not, and I bought it in Canada.
Mm.
And it has all like the fir and the pine and all the different like tree scents. And I absolutely
Yeah.
love it. I'm like I love those earthy scents. I'm telling you, I
Yeah.
must have some sort of deficiency because between the matcha and like loving that earthy
Mhm.
like flavor, so it just reminded me so much of it. And it's just like stability. I need to
Yep.
call that in today so that I feel that, that inner
Mhm.
strength and core. So, for
That's
today's
exciting.
chat, I also have a sip. When I was a kid, I used
Mm.
to make mocktails. I know, girl. I had this strength from when I was a wee little one. And when I was a kid, I thought the fanciest drink was orange juice mixed with cranberry. And I would put it
That is fancy when you're a
So
kid.
I'd walk around with my orange juice and cranberry, and I thought I made, this amazing mocktail, and I thought it was God's gift. So today, as a homage to that, I have a mix of orange and pomegranate. So
Okay.
I just wanted something cool today to cool me down from my fiery, spicy self. And
Mhm.
I just saw it and I said, "Oh, little Sandra would love this." So I needed to say give her a little shout out today and enjoy my mocktail that I created 30 years ago.
Oh my god, I love it.
Oh my g Are you sipping on anything today or are you
I am just salty water
love it?
because, I'm salty, so it matches.
Our vibe is like fantastic today.
I
Spicy
know,
and
right?
salty. Here we go. So let's talk about relationships that shift and what that looks
Mhm.
like. And the reason why I wanted to bring this topic to the podcast is I have a circumstance in my life that people tend to say and they get a little judgy about.
Mhm.
And I thought, what an interesting topic to discuss and to see kind of our thoughts on it. So many years ago in my early 20s, I met someone and we dated. We dated for a good 6, 7 months. It was a relationship that really helped develop me as a young person. It was a relationship that we shared so much. And it was a relationship that was like no other because I was young and obviously I was dating a guy that I thought I was attractive or I was dating a guy because they were exciting, but this was the first time I ever had a soul connection with anyone.
Hmm.
And I didn't know how to handle that. I was just like, this is all new. This is really exciting. I want to explore this. And I remember when I was dating him, my girlfriends would say, "You've just calmed down so much and you're just so centered and all of that." And I'm like, well, I don't think I'm like searching or needing. Eventually, meeting of minds weren't happening and I broke up with him. And after that breakup, typically I would break up with someone and never hear from them, right? But this breakup was different. I was at home and I said, I really miss this person, or I really want to talk to this person about this. And I realized this person was such an important part of my life during that time. And I said, and in my young mind, I said, oh, I'm going to try to get back with him. Right. Not
Mm,
realizing that I was longing for our friendship. I was
mhm,
longing for that connection that we had that was beyond the physical. And so in my, 20 something year old brain, I reached out and I'm just like, can we try this again? And I knew it wasn't what I wanted, but I didn't know how else to navigate it.
I see.
And through lots of conversation and lots of vulnerability, this person has been a friend of mine for now over 30 years, one of the closest
Mm,
people to my soul. And it is something that a lot of people from the outside don't understand, right? So they say, well, how can you be friends with an ex? Or doesn't your boyfriend, your husband, whoever you're with, don't they hate it? Like, how are they okay with it? And I'm thinking, well, that's not their
mhm.
relationship, it's my relationship with my friends. And I wanted to debunk a lot of that, right? Because it just, when you meet someone, regardless if it's a colleague, a friend, and you make that connection, how can we reinvent the lines of relationship to reflect what's really happening there, if that makes sense?
Yep.
So I wanted to bring this to the forefront because there's so many levels of relationships. There's married couples, there's child and parent, there's work colleagues,
Mhm.
there's parents, older parents as well. All these different configurations of relationships where people tend to put a formula to it. And
Mhm.
we need to stop kind of thinking of it in those ways, because I've seen the glory of my relationship with this person after 30 years and allowing it to be what it needs to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that this is why this is my personal story and why I wanted to bring it to the forefront. And Jen, any thoughts about the idea of like the relation shift?
Yeah, well, I totally love this because I am in a similar boat and I feel like it just takes a really um I don't know what the word is, like someone that knows who they are,
Yes.
right? There's whatever that term is. I feel like you have to really know who you are, have good communication, and have a solid relationship with your
Yeah.
partner to be able to have other relationships that don't fit the normal stereotypical
Yep.
picture. And, I dated someone for 5 years before Adam, and I met him through his family, and I had a great relationship with everybody. And when we split, like, it was just, not aligned. There was not one thing negative. No one did
Right.
anything wrong. We were still friends, like, and I still talk to his family. They were all at our
Right.
wedding. You know what I mean? And people literally raised an eyebrow like,
Right.
UTF, like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, why? We're all great people. We want the best for each other. We just don't want to be in a love type intimate relationship. Why can we all not be friends still? So I'm so interested to hear, all the things that you're going to bring up, because I think it's really important for people to understand if you're insecure with it and your relationship is insecure with it, then that means there's something more that you need to
Right.
investigate,
Right.
right?
And I, in my relationship with this really close friend, any person that I was involved with, I was very clear from the beginning. This is what it is. This is
Mhm.
our background. This is where we are now. I'd love for you to meet him. I'd love for us to kind of come together, ask me any questions, because I am in a total open book with him.
Agree.
And I also want to reassure the person that I'm with, like, there is nothing ever going to come out of this. And I
Yeah.
think, there also has to be, like, Michael and my ex always jokes around and says, "You've married Archangel Michael, really? Like,
Huh?
you've married an ultimate saint." And he jokes and he's like, "I'm going to make an altar to him." And just joking because he's like he's just the world to you, and he's so kind and wonderful
Yes.
to you. So I think it's important because I think there's something so sad about throwing the relationship away. It's like the throwing the
Yeah.
baby out with the bathwater. And
Yeah.
when you're so close to someone and you share vulnerabilities, and I was at a young stage in my life where I was learning myself, I was learning who I am, and to have those transitional moments with someone who really cared and really helped you through that, why would you throw that away? You would never do that to a
Yeah.
friend. So
Yeah.
why do we have to just categorize this person, saw me naked, or, or we had romantic relations and now that's the determining factor? No, there's more to a person than just that. So,
It is. And, I have had relationships for decades with friends that I have had to, in a sense, repurpose, restructure, reimagine our relationship because of what it was just wasn't working for me
mhm,
anymore. And it didn't feel good. So I had to really evaluate, how can I have a different relationship with this person and still be healthy and growing and positive. So I know you're going to bring all sorts of tips and tricks to the
yeah.
episode today because that's what you do.
Well, let's get into it. So let's talk about, I have a little game of myth and reality, right? And I want us to
Okay.
explore these statements and see what comes up for you. You could tell me, if it's a myth or not, or just what comes up innately for you. So the first myth is you must hate your ex after a breakup. I know that that's a lot of people's thought process around breakups, right? Because I broke
Mhm.
up with this person and automatically my girlfriends are rallying around me are like, fuck that guy. Like, yeah, and
Mhm.
I'm like, it's not like that. It's not like that.
Yep.
So tell me about this myth of you must hate your ex after a breakup.
I think it's they're trained to think and feel that way because they think that's the only way they can have
Right.
separation. People don't, it's like choosing to have a bag of chips at the end of the night or getting like a crunchy vegetable as a snack. It's a choice. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to choose to hate someone to not have them as a part of your
Yeah.
life. You can choose to wish them
Yep.
well and not have ill feelings, but just choose not to be in that same relationship with them. It's that really that simple.
It's like, I think, when I was dating, my dating life and things, I thought everything had to go up in a ball of flames, And the end of a romance does not require like, let's just burn this bridge, let's just kill
Yeah.
everything. And, it takes a lot of maturity and communication and self-reflection to come to any relationship and say, I appreciate all the time we've had and I appreciate all the
Mhm.
experiences, but now, we're going on our separate paths and I wish you well and I'm so grateful for everything that we had, but the time is the time. And it doesn't mean you
I
never speak to them ever or any of that, right?
yeah.
It just this is what it is.
I had that recently in my life, someone that was near and dear to me, like, deeply for a super long time. It just felt kind of like our karmic contracts have been
Yes.
completed, right? And, like, nature kind of took its course and we were going in different paths, and I don't hate the person at all, not even a little. And I don't, like, regret all of the history that we have together, right? It helped build me and nurture me at times and was just so beautiful. And even though our paths are gone different ways, like if that person was to ever call or need anything, I would still be a friendly person,
100%.
right? It's just there's no need for ugliness.
No, and that you know how much energy it takes to hold on to things and to have that
Mhm.
ugliness, that ugly energy.
Yep.
It's none of it is supportive. So yeah, so I appreciate that. Let's move on to the next one. So remaining friends
Okay.
means constant contact and involvement in each other's lives. Is that
No, I don't think so. I really feel like, for some people it can. It just, again, it depends on
right?
the relationship and the dynamics, like the energy and the distance and what you get out of that relationship, right? Like there's some relationships of friends that I just talk to them maybe once a
Right.
year, and that's okay. That's a safe zone for me. So,
And have you ever had those friends that you see them in like 6 months and you pick up exactly where you left off? It's just
exactly
like,
where you left off.
I don't need to be kind of in that space to I need to know everything and do all these different things. But
Mhm.
I have to gauge what works for the individual relationship. So
Yes.
I told you I have friends out of state and we do a Wednesday check-in where we send a video and it's like, here is what we're doing. This is what's going on. And that's our way of checking in. And I'm not in their lives 100%. And I think, we
Yep.
have to just, once again, if you have that kind of relationship or someone's clinging to you 100%, maybe there's a way to redefine that relationship as well.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about divorce, right? So, divorce happens or breakups happen, and there may be children involved in that, right? So, what are your thoughts, Jennifer, on co parents being friends? Is that something that has to happen in order for success to take place? Or is there another creative way of thinking about it?
I think friends, a lot of people that are divorced would never, ever even want to consider being
Yeah.
friends with their person, but they would be like, just amicable to them. But, I have a few friends in my life that, have divorced and they are still friends with their partner, or at least kind, right? Because at the end of the day, they knew they weren't aligned, but they have a child that needs them to show up for each other, to still see that support. And again, I think there's a lot of people that just get in their own way and they don't see the bigger picture and they make it really messy, unfortunately, because they're so bitter because somebody did them wrong,
Yeah.
or, like you said, they have to burn down the house. And it's like, do you want to burn down the house with your child in it?
Right.
Because you don't have to. You can actually be a freaking adult and watch what you say around your child or try to practice kindness with your for your child's sake, even if they
Yes.
don't. Your child will see the difference.
100%. And it gets so tricky because the children then become, the ally of the parents, or not the ally, but they
Mhm.
become the sounding board of, this
Sure.
is what happened. This is why this is here and all of that. And that's a heavy burden to bear
It
for a
is
child.
too much of a burden for a kid.
Yeah. And it's just, whatever happened between, the parents should stay in that space. And as you can go either way. Like, you want to be friends so that you can really support the children, but at the very least be respectful. At the
Yep.
very least, not talking about the other parent to the children, just making
Yep.
sure that it's kept at that level. And you can make
Mhm.
the relationship whatever you want. You can be friends, you can't be, or you won't be friends, but at least it's
Yep.
respect. That's the important piece of it. Oh, this one, Jennifer. At work, friendships leads to gossip, favoritism, or distraction. So you can help me with this one because
Mhm.
it's a for me, it's close to home, right? And in
Mhm.
managing folks, I've always had this very, I don't know, like a separate approach. This,
Sure.
I'm this and we're doing this together. But you had shared some things with me offline that I thought was really helpful in terms of, just easing into that a little bit. But talk to me about, the creative relationships within work. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, I am the same all the time in every setting, which is not always appropriate for every setting. But, my husband has taken a different approach because he's always been very professional in his career. He never allowed any like bosses or coworkers or whatever to see, know, or learn anything about him personally. And I'm like, you have to show up as a human,
Right.
right? Like, and it's all about managing those boundaries because if someone wants to try to take advantage of something by calling out or calling in late or whatever because you guys got to know each other a little bit personally in a work environment, then that's negative on them and you just have to hold a boundary, right? And say like if this was outside lunch date and you had to cancel, no biggie. But in the work atmosphere, we still follow the policies. I still enforce the policies. I'm not letting you get away with anything like that. But we can still talk about who we
Yeah.
are as
Yeah.
people. So, I think as long as people know you're going to have that professional boundary and still follow all the policies, but you'll still show your human side and connect with people in that way, I think it helps them to grow as well, even if they're a coworker and not, an employee
Yeah,
underneath you.
this is a an area of growth for me, and,
Mhm.
I've even thought about, like, putting out surveys of with my team to just say,
Mhm.
like, nothing work related, but more on, like, a kind of human level. What more
Mhm.
would they like to see? Not just of me, but just of our team as well, or just to
Sure.
get a to gauge that because I take my
Mhm.
work very seriously. I try to keep that professional boundary, but I know that that keeps sometimes it's a barrier and it keeps people out.
Mhm.
So, how do I
And things can mix,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you don't have that knowledge of where one stops and the other one starts, but, also having an employee or a coworker and knowing that, like, they're really struggling at home because maybe their partner lost their job or whatever, and just knowing that and having the compassion and maybe seeing what you can do to rally support in the workplace, right? Like, "Hey, everybody, let's lighten the load for Susie a little bit. She's having a rough time. Let's give her hugs," or whatever without telling her business, or like, create a meal train if they needed it. Like, you can still be human but still be professional. So I think that, again, you just have to know where one starts and the other one
I love
ends.
that. And it's just like even now I know there's a couple of members of the team going through some things and it's just like I didn't even think about on a personal level I would do something like that, but I
Sure.
never kind of equated it to my career, and I love
Yeah.
that that was brought up because now it's like, that's true. That's something that, we can
Hmm.
all easily do to help support one another, and so I definitely I appreciate that, and I have to kind of,
Yeah, just put some thought to it and see what comes up for
awesome.
you.
Marriage means giving 50 at all times. Is that a myth or is that reality?
It is absolutely a myth because some days I'm given 10%. I've got nothing left in the tank. Sometimes I'm given 200. It is like that teeter totter, right? And sometimes you guys are both on the same, energy level and capacity, and that's great. But it's about knowing how to support one another when you are at that 10%.
Yes, and I think it's I go back in my marriage and I think about all the things that I had to just help with and do. And then, of course,
Mhm.
on his end, the same thing. And I don't get this whole 50-50 thing, right? I really don't
Mm-mm.
get it because it's also contingent upon your skill set, what you can do, what you can't do. And some people will, oh,
And the circumstances.
yes, yes. Some people will always live in that 30-70 space because of,
Mhm.
whatever. And I think to myself, like, Michael's parents, his mom passed away, God rest her soul, she was living with dementia and
Sure.
other illnesses that she had, and her father his father took great care of her, and
Mhm.
I said to myself, and I was watching that, and I said, that is what marriage is about, right? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to fill in that 70% or fill in that gap. And I think we have to dispel the myth of, it's 50-50. You do and I do, and we do equal parts and we come together and make a whole. And it's like, oh, no, because if I didn't supply that 70, then we would be in the deficit. Would be, in a bad spot.
Yeah. Even on a checklist, you still can't do 50-50,
No.
right? Like, all the things that we do here around our property, I literally can do like 20% of them by
Yeah.
myself because I Adam is just like the lead on so many of those things. But when it comes to a whole slew of other things in our house and in our lives, I'm the lead on it and he's the supporting role. So, it just
Yeah.
depends and he's bullshit.
Girl, yes. And that's the thing. Like, there were times where I'm like, am I getting shortchanged? And that was my truth where I'm
Mm,
like, wait a second, like why isn't blah, 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 blah? And I have to continually reevaluate that to say, wait a second, what am I talking about? There's just so many things
mhm.
that I have no clue that he can handle and I cannot. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'm trying to like dispel out of my brain. Good parents always like their children, not just love them.
Whew. I have a lot of opinions on parenting, but,
Yes.
um, yeah. There's a lot of people that genuinely don't like their
Yes.
children, and it's obvious. Some of them, I'm not even so sure if they love them,
Mhm.
but I feel incredibly fortunate to have the children I do because I really do like them as human
Yes.
beings. I fully think they're super cool people, and I wanna be around them, and I'm so excited to be their mom and be a part of their lives and all the things they're doing. But I also feel like, if someone doesn't like their child, which is super taboo to say,
Yes.
right? I feel like they need to explore why that is.
Mhm.
Is it because they help you see the things within yourself
Mhm.
that you don't like?
Mhm.
Is it because they challenge you in ways that you need to grow, that you wanna stay stagnant in? Is it because you didn't foster a healthy relationship from the beginning? Is it because you don't know how to have a healthy relationship because you didn't have one? Like, whatever it is, I guarantee you if you dig deep, you can change that, but if you don't like the person your child is, I, for one, am so
That's
sorry
hard.
that you're experiencing that. But for 2, you really have to dig in and navigate that to see why, and hopefully that can change because that's gonna lead to, an interesting
Yeah.
future. I mean, I don't know, did Jeffrey Dahmer's mom like
Uh,
him? I don't know. Like,
you never know,
I don't
right?
know. No, like, was he a jerk as a kid? And mom was just like, I tried to foster a relationship and I love my kid and we just can't connect. No clue. I'm definitely not a child therapist.
Yeah,
That's
neither.
or family
Neither
therapist.
am I. And it's funny, I've seen dynamics where, parents are triggered by their children because they remind them of the opposite parents, you know, um,
Oh,
traits.
behaviors.
Yes, and it's
Yes,
just
I
like
see.
all of that is triggering for the other parent, and they're just like, "Raw, you're just like that person," or
I could see that because, with Adam being on the spectrum and all the struggles that I had to do for decades before we understood what we were really working with, when I would see some of the really challenging characteristics in our children, it would infuriate me. It would make me sad and overwhelmed, like, oh my God, here it goes again. I'm going to get it. But then I had to realize, you know what? This poor man didn't realize till he was in his
yeah.
50s what he was working with being on the spectrum, and now I'm seeing some of these characteristics in my child. What can I do to support them to help them be aware, be mindful, more in self-control, and use it constructively instead of me condemning them? But that was my
It's
experience.
hard, right? Because you are human and you're triggered by what you're triggered, and
Oh,
when you
yeah.
see it, you're just like it's
Get it
immediate,
out.
and then you're saying to yourself, "That's my child that I'm." It's
Yeah.
really tough. So I think it is a taboo topic, and I had a friend that is a parent that shared with me like, "Girl, I don't like my kids most of my is because of
Yeah.
these things," and I just hope that people can explore that with curiosity
Mhm.
and explore that and see, is there any shifts in those relationships that can be taken or had to help that dynamic? Because you don't wanna live in a circumstance where you're just tense all the time because you're living with a bunch
Yeah.
of people you don't like. You love them, but you don't like them.
Yeah, I do have a friend that is experiencing that actually. It's not her children
Yeah.
directly, but within the marriage it is
Yep.
now, right? Part of the
Sure.
family. And it could even be grandchildren, who knows? But like, it's children in the family for her. And unfortunately, I mean, she loves them, she'll care for them, but genuinely liking them, probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, and I think part of it is also accepting of that, right? Like, when you
Yeah.
have a friend or someone that you can choose to like or not,
Yeah.
you know the level of relationship you can have with them. And maybe, that's
Hmm.
something to explore, inside of the home because I don't believe in forced anything. You can't force love, you can't
True.
force a relationship. You can't change
Hmm.
yourself if it's not authentic to you, to
True.
to support someone else. So it gets tricky, and I think it's something that I feel people need to just be honest with. Just to be honest with, because that's where it
Hmm.
starts. You're honest, and then you say to yourself, "Okay, what are we doing next at this point?"
And there's the different levels, right? You love someone, you like someone, or you care for them.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think there are 3 different categories, and you can have all of those things in one, but you can also only have one as well.
Yeah, for sure. No, listen, and that's why I'm hoping with this topic, there can be some exploration of relationships because, we have one or more of these relationships that we discuss, work colleagues, parent to child,
Mhm,
marriage. And sometimes we are fed through society and what we see. These are the formulas to all of these things. You have to
mhm,
listen to your parents and respect your parents. Well,
mhm,
sometimes you don't, right? Like sometimes they're not supporting you in the way that you need supported. Maybe you need that separation and break, and it's, oh, God forbid, that's your mom, that's your dad.
mhm,
Well, you have to redevelop and craft that relationship to where
yep,
it's going to be supportive for the both of you. So, yeah. So that's the hope and goal for today. So let's talk about while you're kind of navigating relationship shifts and what are some things, some tools that you need to do as you determine is this relationship fine? Does it need a shift? Do I need to be the
mhm,
catalyst for the shift? Because sometimes it
mhm,
happens naturally or it happens to you. Other times you have to be the one to say, okay, let us be real and let's move into a different layer or level of our relationship. So the first one
mhm,
is open communication. So you have to be incredibly vulnerable. I was like that with my ex. I remember sitting in his car and saying, look, I love you and I want to have some sort of relationship with you, but it's not romantic. And I just don't know if, you're cool with that. Can we talk about that?
mhm,
And instead of it being this kind of thought in the back of the head or missed opportunity or longing, having that open communication, they are going to be the second half of that and help with, some of the things that you're feeling. So that's the first step I think that needs to be taken.
yeah,
Empathy and emotional validation. So it's important to understand that when a relationship is shifting, we have to be
mhm,
super uh, like our antenna has to be up. We have to really be in tuned with our own emotions and also
mhm,
listen and be empathetic to their emotions as well. Because sometimes I've done things in the heat of a moment, right? And I'll say, I'm breaking up with this person and I hate them and blah, 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 blah. But that's not the case. I don't hate them. I'm
mm,
really grateful for them. I was just confused or I was not seeing it in the lens that I should have been seeing it. So being
mhm,
really emotionally mature and stopping and saying, no, I felt that way, but that's not what it is now. Does that make sense?
yeah, mhm.
What is your thought about like kind of the emotional piece of it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that because, talking about being empathetic and emotionally aware for not only yourself, but the other person, it made me think of, how like when you're in a relationship and you've been like thinking about the end for quite
Yes.
some time and you're mustering up the energy to break it off and all this other stuff. And because you had already felt like, sense.
Mhm.
And then by the time you finally break the news, you're just
Yes.
relieved, right? Because you finally did it. Well, the other person's hearing it for the first time. And so they're in a whole different stage and they're like, shock and awe or wailing or whatever. And you could be like, oh, well, like
Yep.
it is what it is. Get over it because you've already processed
Mhm.
all of that for so long. But being compassionate and empathetic for them at the stage they're at doesn't mean you have to second guess your choice,
Mhm.
doesn't mean you have to compromise your values while you're showing compassion while they
Yeah.
process and go through the steps. And you don't have to be a jerk about it because you've already, you're on step 8, they're on step
Right.
1. So that's what made me think
Yeah.
of, having empathy for the other person.
Absolutely. Like it's just, and relationships they don't have to end. It could just change. It could evolve
Mhm.
or it could be less or so you just want to be aware and conscious of that as you go through those
Mhm.
changes. Flexibility and patience, that's also really important because as I just mentioned, you don't necessarily have to end the relationship because sometimes we just are just like, okay, that's it. This happens. Not
Mhm.
and then we forget that I can make a mistake. You can make a mistake, right? Like sometimes relationships end without giving them the opportunity to evolve or
Mhm.
change. So
True.
be flexible, be patient, and see, okay, if I dip my toe in this area of the water, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Can I reinvent this relationship to make it into what it has? I have friendships that are over 30 years old that are still evolving. So
Mm.
it's, thinking about what that could look like in that particular relationship with that dynamic.
Yeah.
Now, if you decide to keep the relationship and it does change, you should have regular check ins because you want to make sure that the
Mm.
vision and goal of this relationship and its new configuration is exactly how it needs to be for both parties. And, if
True.
I'm open and honest about it with you, I also want to hear from you. How does that look like for us? And even when I moved out of Florida, Jennifer, and we were we moved to Texas, we would have our weekly calls, right? And that was
Mhm.
our way of checking in, but we were evolving to, what is that next step? And is this enough for us? Do we need more? And of course, the podcast happened because we talk all the time and we need to make sure that we're always talking. But, our relationship developed into this new space, right? And now we're living in this new space that's also really new to us, right? We're friends, we're
Mhm.
co-hosts, we're all these different things. So the check-ins are really important, and the check-ins are just to say, "Hey, things are great," or "Hey, I'm still missing you, and I don't know if I need some more
Mhm.
or I need some other things." So,
Yes, a lot more in-person visits fill my soul, but dear goodness, my schedule is crazy just like you, and I'm like, I need to just see you like every other
I
month. But we also are really good at not dwelling on what isn't possible at the moment. We understand realistically, but then we also go, okay, well, if that's not possible right now, what
right.
is? And then we're going to get some of that.
That solution-oriented positive thinking makes a huge
Hmm.
difference because there are people that are just will stay stuck in that, "Oh, we're in 2 different
Yep.
states," and people, whenever they hear that about us, they're always like, "Really? Yep, we're in 2 different
Hmm.
states, and we know, like, everything that's happening, and, we're so connected, and this is what it is," because you make the effort, regardless of how busy we are. Clear boundaries, that is important, the boundaries piece, because I told you with my ex, I thought to myself, "Oh, we're gonna get back together," and he was just like, "No, we're not doing that. We are going to evolve this relationship." And I said, "Oh, can we? Yeah. Let's do
Yeah, that's a
that's a
thing.
thing.
Well, thanks.
Let's do it." Yes, I enjoy that. So having those boundaries, explaining what those things are, and once again, it goes with communication as well.
Well, I just like that you have let me know when I have crossed a boundary because, because you don't know where the line is until you cross
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And I love it. You've been like, okay, that's a
Yeah.
little much. I'm like, okay, good to know.
You're like, "I'll scale back."
I'm like, I appreciate the feedback. I'm a clear communicator and I love
Yes,
that.
yes,
So,
absolutely. And then finally, we talked about marriages and divorce and all of those different things. Sometimes you just need support and you need professional guidance. And
mm,
I'm a big proponent of getting resources and help when you're in those spaces of transition because I don't have all the answers and sometimes you just need that extra help and uh, when you're in those transitional spaces, you want to make sure that you're considering all factors. And sometimes
yeah.
when you're in it and it's emotional, if you're going through a divorce and it's hard, you want to make sure you have the backup of someone that's going to be in your corner and someone who's going to give you objective sound advice. So professional guidance is always really helpful when you're in those shifts of divorce or transition or anything like that to help you navigate.
I love, I mean, even though I went through a lot of therapists to find the ones that work for me, I just loved always having a therapist in my circle for me personally because even though talk therapy isn't always my thing, I always would seek out ones that offered like alternative methods. But to me, it was always like having a neutral party.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to have someone that would come to the table with emotions and their own jaded past and things like that. I could just have someone that would be neutral, solution oriented, ask me things that made me really think deeply that could just like bust my mind wide
Hmm.
open. And I just appreciate that type of support
I
so
do too.
much because I don't want somebody to just give me their advice upon what they know, and maybe they've had a really shitty relationship history or bad experience, but it could also be because of
Yeah,
them, right? Or the people they chose, and it's not the same for me. And so for me, I really like and appreciate a therapist because it's super neutral in that aspect.
I agree. And there's just there's no one in your life that are friends or family that will be objective, right? Because they want to
Yeah.
support you. They want to show that they care and they're nurturing you. And there are
Mhm.
times where I truly just want sound advice. Like I just want someone to not tell me what they think I want to hear or, they know the
Mhm.
other party. I just like, what do you think? And all of so I
Yep.
I agree with you on there. Like I think that's such a great resource. And it's not just for divorce and things like that. It could just be
No.
going through friendship shifts or
I can't tell you how many times that even Adam and I, we had racked our brain with certain situations on how to approach our children's, with
yeah.
different situation things going on. And we would say, you know what? We need an outside perspective,
Yeah.
someone that is not involved or close knit. And we need to share this with our therapist and just say, "Hey, can you give us some more ideas? We're kind of stuck and we're not sure why." And it's just a
Right.
collaboration. And every single time we did it, even though sometimes it would just be cherry picking here and there, it wasn't like a consistent thing, they would help unstick us, right? They would give us just some little tools or things to think about and different perspectives that we had not thought of together as a parent, and it helped us to navigate how we approach things with our children better.
100%. I am a huge fan of like resources, resources, resources. So that's
Mhm.
through a therapist or through just readings and workshops and
Oh,
educating
yes.
yourself and finding because that's the other piece of it too. There's just beyond what's in front of us, there's just so much out there that can help us in all those areas in your marriage, in your parenting, in all of those places, right? So I definitely think it's something to consider when you're going through those shifts. And,
Mhm.
in my shift activations, what I want to do is to encourage you to be more conscious of your relationships, all your
Mhm.
relationships now. So I want to segue into shift activations if you can.
Let's do it.
So let's take inventory of our relationships, right? And in that, what I would like you to do is to check in like we did our energy economy. We're going to do a friendship kind of tracker or and not I'm sorry, not friendship, relationship tracker. And you're going to pick a couple of relationships in your life. So your husband, your children, your friends, your parents, your coworkers, whoever it is that you would like to focus on. And I want you to label 3 emotions that you get from this relationship. So it could be, fulfillment, anger, fun, it could be sadness, whatever it is. And do this for let's say a week's time. And this is going to help you and you're going to do this daily, right? So you have the person's name and then like 3 emotional words that describe your relationship with them. And
Mm.
that is going to help guide you to determine if you would like to make a shift in your relationship with that person. So even and positive or negative language, because you may really love this thing about this person, or you may love or have your interactions and they're all positive. But is there something else to level that relationship up or to shift it into a different space? Maybe you're not doing enough with this person and you don't have a week's worth of information and you say, my shift is that I have to spend a little more time with them, or my shift is I have to do a little more check ins with them. So this is an inventory of your relationships in your life and for you to reflect and to see if there's any changes that need to happen. And you may have relationships that it's on the right path and there's nothing that needs to be changed. But how can you help develop the relationship in a way that's going to be meaningful? We've talked about
Dang.
what was that?
I'm just like, "Dang," I'm sitting here writing some already.
Yeah.
And I love it's interesting because, I think therapists call it hamburger words, right? Those light, superficial words of like, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm this, I'm that. And like writing down a couple things while you're talking already. I thought of one person and instantly comes up, I get intellectual stimulation, compassion, and love. Another person is growth, creativity, and nurturing. But, I love that they're just like, so meaningful of these emotions that are coming up. And now I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a very good audit. And some people, whew, I don't even want to know what emotions come up for them.
Well,
So,
I think it's important to be able to identify what those emotions are. Just like we have the shift
uh-huh,
forecast, and there's a variety of ways to describe a rainy day, or, for me, my
uh-huh,
energetic, swirl.
your
Yes.
storm. Yeah.
We need to also explore that, because there are different words that are so succinct that help us
Uh-huh.
determine who, you know, a person is or what they are. If I'm not mistaken, the book Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart, I
Okay.
that book has, if I'm not mistaken, just ways to explore emotion, and different words that we can use. So I am always looking to find succinct language to help me, because the more honesty and truth you speak, the more it will become. So
Huh.
so definitely, I think this is going to be a fun exercise for folks. I'm excited to do mine, because once I track it for 7 days, I can see the consistency or inconsistency there, cuz some days they may bring storms and negativity, right? Depending on moods and things like that. So I just want you to, right now, it's nothing to analyze. It's just to take observations and notes. And then after those 7 days, journal on it, reflect on it, and say, is there anything that needs to be shared? Is there any vulnerabilities that have to be spoken on? Is there, it's going to help strengthen your relationships, this activity, for those relationships that you're looking to strengthen. And it may shift others to, different directions depending on what the need is.
I'm interested in pairing this with the last shift activation you gave us, where we did the
Yes.
circles, right, of our close circle of people and then the extended ones, and
Mhm.
then, evaluating those. I'm so interested to see what emotions come up. And is that why they're in a certain circle? And is that something that would move them to a different one?
Yeah, and is it consistent, right? Because you could really have someone close to
Hmm.
you and love you, but 3 out of the
Hmm.
7 days, your emotional word is negative, right? So,
Hmm.
what does that look like for those 2 models, comparing
Interesting.
those 2? You can and you can create anything in this life, right? You can create anything in this life. So imagine being able to level up your relationships, where you can feel just that energetic back and forth without any blockage, without any issue. And, that reduces stress, that reduces so much. So I'm really excited to do this, because I just want to take inventory and see what are the actionable steps that I can take to help support that, and bring also to their attention as well.
Wow.
All right, my friends, activation number 2 is vision book. We've talked about vision books. We've talked about creating that map for your life. So, in your vision book, you're going to have a chapter on your relationships, right? So, what are you looking for? What are some goals? What are some dreams in your relationships? Um, what does your evolving relationship look like? So create that next chapter in your vision book, and really start, and you could use the first activation to help support that, but we want you to visually put it out there as well. So vision book is number 2. Then my third and last activation is, I want you, in your kind of taking inventory, to see, what relationships do I have to be the catalyst of the shift? Because I'm sure in your inventory, you're going to see that there are things that you need to do to actively move it in a different direction. And
Hmm.
I have relationships in my life that I feel like I need to do this with. And I think, because it's not screaming in our face and it's all okay, we kind of let things go. And my invitation is, let's not let things go. Let's be proactive about it. Eliminate relationships or dynamics that are going to bring you down. Let's
Hmm.
uh uh Let's observe behaviors that are not supportive of your goals, right? Let us be active in this whole process because sometimes we allow relationships to happen to us, and sometimes we have to be the change that needs to happen.
Yes.
So journal about that and really, think about what those things are. All right. Well, that is our episode for today. Thank you so much for the conversation, Jen. I really loved exploring these different relationships and how shifts can happen and what they look like and our work in it. So I am inviting all of you to do the activations and share with us if there's anything that resonated with you. Now go sip
Yeah,
something.
and
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you've seen it, but we have really cool shift activation journals now.
Let's talk about.
Did you see
Yes.
those? We have, so I mean, obviously they can make them however they want on the inside, but we have them on our website and we have one for the grounded guys and for the shifties.
Hmm.
So I'm super stoked about it because
Yes.
I always, I have 15 million notebooks and I want one that's just for
Yes.
activations. So, anyways, we have one now if anybody wants
Listen,
one. They're
they could
so
pick up
cool.
two, one for activations and one for their vision book because
Oh, no. I'm doing a 3-ring binder for my vision book because think about this. You've given us a vision book we started for bull shift on resolutions, right? And so we completely redefine our New Year's resolutions type things. And then we had our health series where we're doing vision books on our
yes.
health. And now for relationships. And then you're going to give us some careers too. Like, girl, I'm making my own 3-ring binder with the little different tabs of the vision categories for their chapters. So you are way more than a lined piece of paper in a bound book, my friend. You're a 3-ring binder, probably 3
Oh,
inches, because you gotta get all the goods
there's
in
just
there.
so much, right? And it's exciting because you're blueprinting, you're mapping your life. You are the creator of your life. You're the architect that you are designing and envisioning. So this is it.
Well, it's so true because if you look, and I have notebooks everywhere from decades, and if you look at any of them, and it's full of tons of brain dumps, right? Things that I have to do, meals that I want to make, projects that I'm going to design, like things I'm building. Like it doesn't matter what it is, it gets poured out on these notebooks and I have digital forms. I have even like Pinterest
Yep.
boards, anything like that. If you look at anything I have, they have all come to be. I've gotten everything I've ever wanted out of my life, no matter what it is, because I was able to put that intention behind drawing it, writing it, putting that energy behind it. And so, I mean, just having a vision book to make that blueprint for your life and with that mindset and intention, I'm like, holy snap, like what? Oh my God, what am I going to design for my life next? This is so crazy. Now that I see that how it has worked and that it has effortlessly worked. Now I'm like, "Ooh, what can I do on purpose?"
Right? You're just a little wizard in your life of like it's amazing. It's
Yep.
amazing. So yes, thank you for the reminder about the journal books on our website. And listen, if you are in a shift, in a relationship, let us know about it. I'd love to hear if any of this resonated with you. Marriages, parents, all of it, because it all matters and it's all important. Go sip something yummy, take a deep breath, and know that you always have us to talk shift with. Thanks, everyone. And that's it for today's shift. Thank you so much for sharing this space with us. If you're loving the conversation, become a shifty. Like, follow, subscribe, and most of all, share this episode with someone who's shifting too, or someone who seriously needs to get their shift together.
Do you have thoughts, questions, topic requests, or maybe you're feeling the nudge to collaborate? Visit us at shiftsisterpodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're so grateful for your presence, your friendship, and your willingness to do the work with us. Because shift happens and we're not meant to do it alone.
We'll meet you back here next time to breathe, reflect, and talk shift.